Uranus in Pisces brings about this mystical quality to the table. Brings about this all-around quality of wanting to create spiritual liberation, of wanting to revolutionize old, outdated systems of spiritual top-down authority and create technological innovations in ways that advances humanity and the collective consciousness. The people of this placement are very intuitive, can tap into the oneness of all that is. And their mission in this life is to go on their own spiritual path and not go on the path that others carve out for them, but really claiming their independence and living a life that's true for them. Now, I was born during this generation. I was born at the very, very beginning of this generation. So this is Uranus and Pisces in the natal chart. And eventually, I'll be doing, I believe, let me just check. Yes. So I'll be doing Uranus through the different signs. Each of the 12 signs and how each generation's experienced, what they experience and how they are unique from one another. So this is about the Uranus in Pisces generation from 2003 to 2010, what they came to usher in for us. And just Uranus and Pisces in general in the natal chart, but because Uranus is an outer planet, it is generational. It deals with a large frame of time and a large group of people and a large kind of span of, arenas of who could be born into this world and how can an entire generation impact the collective. So this is really focusing on those born between 2003 to 2010 specifically. So, it becomes more important when you look at Uranus in the houses, and maybe I'll do a video on my Uranus in the 5th house sometime, because I express my Uranus in my creative expression very, very strongly, and it adds just another layer to it. And if you think about it, Uranus and Pisces going on its own spiritual path, spirituality and creativity, it makes perfect sense for what I do when it comes to my music, when it comes to my astrology videos, all of that. It makes perfect sense. And it's impacting the collective because these videos are public so that the whole world can find them and see them and be impacted by them. So, delving right in, I may repeat myself. I did come across this information through reading, so I don't want to just steal, information. I did, read into this, and it may be a little bit repetitive, so just warning. So the first half is going to look at how Uranus and Pisces impacts more how these people can impact the collective, and then the second half is the more how these people are more their individual selves. So let's do the collective part of this video first. So basically these individuals are here to shake up and change how basically how we experience spirituality, how we experience artistic creativity and our understanding of collective consciousness. So it's here to change all these things, because these are very, very Piscean ruled matters. These are very Piscean ruled areas. So how we're going to do this, how we're going to change up spirituality, very, very important. So this generation of individuals are here to change and transform spirituality. They're here to take the traditional approaches to spirituality, how, religion. And I'm going to talk about religion in this video. They're to take these traditional approaches, and they're here to revolutionize them. They're here to change it up to something more that is related to something that is authentic healing. Something that is authentically healing. Something that deals with where you are healing yourself and you are moving on your own healing journey, a spirituality that can heal you on a mental, psychological, and emotional level. And also creative expression. That's a really, really huge piece of Piscean energy. This is a really, really huge piece of displacement, because these people are here to express their creative self. And my Uranus being in the 5th house just adds to that. Pisces is creativity. The 5th house is creativity. So I am, and my North Node in Taurus is creativity. So my chart, even though it has 0 Leo and it does have 5th house energy, and I am here to be a very, very creative person. So they're here to express their authentic creative expression, how they want to express it, and they're here to revolutionize how you express your creative expression. And so, yeah. So they're here to transform outdated spiritual systems. They're here to take, the outdated, and I just want to jump to something while I'm thinking of it. A lot of technical innovations for sharing music and sharing artistry came out during this time. Social media came out, YouTube, for sharing videos and music. Spotify came out, the very platform that you might be listening to it off of, because Spotify is a place where you share your art, you share your music to the masses. So, it's very revolutionary, because Uranus rules technology and Pisces rules art. So, music is part of what you find on Spotify. So, this, so it's about transforming, all of these systems of spirituality that are just outdated. That are just kind of, like in the old. Like Uranus wants to take the old system that was before, the old way of going about the world, and the old traditions, and the old hierarchies, and the old structures, and the old ways of being, and revolutionize them. To turn them into something new. And here it's about taking the outdated spiritual systems of life, and it's about setting up new models of human consciousness, of how we experience consciousness, that serve both individual awakening, us awakening to our own spiritual truth and our own spiritual self, basically having our own spiritual truth. And Uranus in Sagittarius is also about that. That Uranus in Sagittarius generation was very much about like your own truth, moving on your own philosophical, spiritual truth. And this is kind of similar to that. So, serving both our awakening and the evolution of humanity when it comes to the spiritual way. So, the 2003 to 2010 generation had a lot of social media that really, really grew. Like social media thrived during this time with with digital creativity. People expressing their music on a technological platform, in a technological way. You could also find research on consciousness and spiritual growth that challenged, basically how spirituality used to be was, you would, go to church and you would follow this traditional structure. Like religions can be top down. Like you must follow these commandments, you must follow these rules, otherwise you're not a loving and worthy person. And it's basically disempowering you from tapping into your intuition and your spiritual self. And that is not what these religions are meant for. That is just the negative shadow side of how we can get caught. in the more negative side and not using religions for the best. Like, at best, we can be faithful to a religion and understand that that is a part of tapping into our intuition, our soul self, and that these gods that we worship are loving and forgiving, as opposed to, oh, you must follow these rules and do this, otherwise you're not worthy of being loved. And like in Christianity, like, I was seeing something from Doreen Virtue, who is all about Christianity right now, and who said, your sins are already forgiven. Like, the wrongs you've already done are already forgiven by God. Like, God will forgive your sins. You don't have to work and earn a way to, forgive your sins. God just forgives them because God is unconditionally loving. So, Christianity is the religion that I, am faithful to, and, I've always been. But so anyway, basically these traditional religious authorities are basically challenged now. So you're going on your own path as opposed to following these top-down things. So then there's revolutionary advances in creative expression that comes about with this, really, really strongly. The creative expression that come about this, the creative expression is very, very huge at this time. There's a big boom and a big burst of people expressing their creative selves to the world. And the arts were innovated. Music was innovated. Painting was innovated. All of these arts that you find in life were changed around. And so there were new approaches that served both individual expression, not only your individual creative expression, but also everyone expressing themselves creatively, and how them expressing themselves creativity would impact all of us, would impact the collective. So these revolutionary approaches made it possible for people to be their creative selves and to be inspired without the traditional institutions, blocking the road and keeping them from being their creative selves. Like, these people are here to break free of these limitations and be their creative spiritual selves. That's what they come in with. That's what they're here to teach us and empower us to move into. And limitations, and they're here to break the boundaries of basically what you can create artistically. They're here to go beyond, like, these are the limits of, you can't create this song and go to this Irish country and paint a painting of the sheep and because this is against the proclamation of Ireland. Or this is, you are, you can't say this. This is too heavy of a matter. This is too serious of a matter. This is too invasive of a matter. Well, you're here to break free of the artistic limitations that we place on people. Like, oh, only certain people are worthy of being artistic, and oh, this and that. Like Uranus represents the younger generation of people, and these people are very, very young. They're my age or younger, or 1 year older than me, that are here to really to take these limitations and say, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing and I'm break free of this, and I'm going to revolutionize. Like, we need these young people to come in and revolutionize and change the status quo so that we continue to evolve as humanity. If we don't have Uranus energy in these individuals, how can we evolve spiritually? We need these individuals. Like, Uranus represents the generations of people that serve a particular purpose for them expressing themselves for humanity, because that's Aquarius energy. Uranus rules Aquarius. So this is really all about moving beyond traditional models of innovative systems that bring together spiritual aims with this. These innovative systems, not only spiritual aims, but also us expressing our, our gifts through technology and our psychological aims. Not only this, and we're here to impact the spirituality and the well-being of humanity. And we're here to improve the shared beliefs and knowledge in a social group. So this means we're here to take these shared beliefs and look at what beliefs are limiting or hold us back from evolving as humanity. Like, what beliefs are keeping us in the old story, in the old system, and how can we form new spiritual knowledge? Like, what new spiritual knowledge is coming to the forefront here? So the people with displacement recognize that genuine healing, true healing, needs us to come together. Well, it means the research on shared beliefs and ideologies that make up, humanity, and it combines this with therapy as a source of healing, as a source of you sitting down with a therapist and you're talking about your problems and you gaining spiritual insights from them to, better yourself and heal yourself and, do that. That's the point of therapy, so that you can talk and be, and they're being receptive to what you have to say and you're considering what they have to say. People that are trying to help you out with healing your emotional, psychological baggage and issues. So, like dealing with your stuff in therapy and spiritual wisdom. Like that's what it's about when it comes to all of this coming to the forefront here. So they want to shake up conventional religious and therapeutic models while reaching into higher consciousness. This is about higher consciousness. And making, so let's look up what higher consciousness means. So it's a state of being, it goes beyond egoic thinking, basically. It goes beyond the ego, the everyday, the day-to-day, mundane, logical reality. And when you transcend from this way of being, from this left-brain way of being, you experience peace, compassion, and interconnectedness. So, so that is really what it comes down to when it comes to higher consciousness. It's a very, very important word to define here in this interpretation of Uranus and Pisces. So, reaching into higher consciousness. And, Uranus and Pisces is like for the all. Like, how can what I am doing benefit the all and benefit humanity? So making healing and spiritual healing beneficial to all of us, to everyone, to, the large masses of people. So that's what it can come down to very, very strongly when it comes to all of these things and making us more evolved in our lives. So, and, while I'm thinking of it, I'm going to be away for the week of April 13th because of health reasons. And I might do 2 videos on Friday, because I'll do the transit video, the weekly transit video on Friday, or excuse me, on Thursday with the 12th sign, and then I'll do the what's it called, the general astrology video along with another video because of what it is, just to do that. And then Saturday I'll do a general video there, and then Sunday I won't be doing that because I'll be traveling to this place where I need to go to because it's a long distance from where I live. So I just wanted to throw that in there, just kind of, as a commercial break to what I'm talking about here. But anyway, going back to what I was saying. So they're, back at the ranch, let's go back here. So they're experiencing sudden realizations about things. Like Uranus is sudden insights, it's sudden realizations. Like I have a realization, I have a spark of inspiration, and you're getting these downloads, basically, about, these insights about spirituality, creativity, healing that pave the way to changes in how we experience our own consciousness and therapy. So Uranus and Pisces individuals understand that authentic spiritual development, us developing as spiritual selves, in order to be our true spiritual selves and go on our true path, we have to resist the hierarchies of these traditional religious spiritual institutions with their limitations on spiritual exploration, us exploring spirituality for ourselves, like us getting into spirituality for ourselves. And so new spiritual technologies came about with Uranus and Pisces. So they're here to look at spiritual exploration and healing practice. Look at revolutionizing how we heal our daily spiritual practices. Like it paved the way for oracle cards to come out, how you can gain insight and wisdom and things to think about through those. Meditations came out. Hay House was starting to, getting started, I believe, at that time, which is this big spiritual company that focuses on spiritual well-being. And, Louise Hay, Abraham Hicks, Colette Baron Reed, Eckhart Tolle, all these people from, Hay House, Nancy Levin, Sonia Choquette, all these people came about, and Hay House is this big spiritual company, and you'll find that I think I'm subscribed to Hay House in my subscriptions with the content that they give, and I bought a lot of oracle decks from Hay House, some from Rockpool and US Game Systems, but a lot of them came from Hay House. So anyway, Uranus and Pisces individuals understand that authentic spiritual development. So as I said before, they want to break the boundaries between these spiritual traditions, these, ways of, all these spiritual traditions that we experience. So, you get to choose your own spirituality for yourself. Creatively, likely influenced to find alternatives to traditional approaches to spirituality. And these traditional approaches limit our effectiveness when it comes to healing. Times change, and Uranus is here to say, like, times have changed. Shake it up. Change with the world. And go along with the times. Don't be behind the times. Like Aquarius tells people, like Aquarius does not want to be behind the times. It literally makes us further into the future than behind the present moment. So, these, traditional approaches to spirituality that we experience limit our own healing. And now healing is looked at as, there's some ineffective things about it, so let's revolutionize it to make it more effective. So these people initiated, these people are here to initiate new approaches to spiritual technology, consciousness exploration, and healing modalities. And let's look up what healing website opened up that Google tab. I don't know. Okay. Healing modalities. So let's look at healing modalities are diverse holistic approaches ranging from it can be it says here acupuncture and massage to energy work. It can be Reiki, it can be meditation, whatever. Mindfulness, basically living in a more mindful way. They're here to it says here they're meant to make it so that we experience physical, mental, and emotional well-being, greater physical, mental, emotional well-being. Yeah. So then, that's what it is. So I wanted to focus on healing modalities there, just to look at that, because I just throw these terms out, and I want to know what I'm talking about. So, I want to, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. If you throw around all these terms and you don't know what they mean, and when someone asks you, you're like, I don't know, this is what it means. No, find a way to explain things so that others and the masses can understand. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to throw in there. Integrating traditional wisdom, the traditional wisdom that we have from the older generations, and traditional wisdom that has been passed down from generation to generation, with new technological innovation and scientific research. A lot of the research of Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden is another person. What's her name? Who talks about Power of Eight groups, Lynn McTaggart, all these people. I actually have her book, The Field, which I have not yet read. I want to read that. We could find, we saw a boom during this time of social media platforms coming out, digital art coming out, spiritual technologies that make meditation, mindfulness, and consciousness practices for greater consciousness more available to the masses, more available to the wide groups of people. So they're here to lay the foundations for later consciousness research and the growth of digital creativity. They're here to make for new research in these areas, and they're here to make for so that we can create put our artwork online. Put our art, like Etsy. Etsy is a place where you put your art online and you sell it. Music sources, YouTube Music, Spotify, as I listed earlier. So, and these creative technologies brought artists together with global audiences, and they still continue to do today, while supporting forms of innovation of people expressing themselves artistically and spiritually. So like YouTube, you express your spiritual self and your spiritual ideals on YouTube with what you believe in and what you want to create on YouTube. It's very, very Aquarius. And on Spotify. So again, going back to those examples. So we want to make life, effective with new spiritual technology. We want to make life, very, very effective. And worth living. Like, technology is meant to make our lives easier. Technology is, human inventions, tools, and all these things that make human life easier and more enjoyable. So, how can this be effective? It has to be effective. We have to integrate traditional medical knowledge with alternative practices. Ways of being, and spiritual approaches to our own health and well-being that are current, that are not dated approaches, that are current, that apply to us here and now. So these things have to be very, very huge for us. Integrated medicine, consciousness-based therapy, energy healing research, and wellness approaches to wellness come into play here. So this is about forming a spiritual community. And I think that these people are really here to usher in the new age. And I have a podcast actually in this podcast called The End of the Dominator Culture, The Perfect Utopia, and where I read a message based off of the eschatology, I believe it is, about a new world where we are tapped into our intuition, into our psychic sensitivity, where we just do what feels right, where we're not led by the conditions of our elders and people telling us what to believe and what to do and how to live our lives and what path that we want to go down. And it really, the end culminates this year in 2026. And by the end of this year, we will have been initiated into this new age. So that's what the message said. So then 2027 is the official, year, one of this new age getting initiated. So this is the beginning year, but the peak year of it, the peak year in 2026. So forming, a spiritual community that breaks the boundaries of traditional cultural boundaries, like an interconnected spiritual community, like online. Like at this time, social media was literally getting invented. Where this would be this community where anyone from all cultures, like Pisces is interconnected. It wants to dissolve the boundaries between us as being humans. It wants to dissolve these boundaries where we're all interconnected. Like we're separated by country and landmass and all those kind of things. Pisces is like, let's merge together, let's come together. And so this is about forming a spiritual community that goes beyond these, traditional cultural boundaries of what we're doing. So then we're looking at consciousness expansion and global healing. As opposed to institutions coming out and controlling this, and cultural separation. We're moving away from cultural separation. So we're transcending, we're moving beyond spiritual experience. Okay, so this is some of the shadow downsides of this placement in these individuals, that they can look at, it's about taking the spiritual and putting it into the regular world. At worst, we can be so in the spiritual realms, and in this, so, like throwing around these words like 5D and higher consciousness, and not grounding these things, not focusing on how can we be spiritual in our practical responsibilities. How can we take all the spiritual wisdom and apply it in our practical day-to-day life? Also, spiritual experiences, the downside of these individuals in this time, collectively, is that, these people could really, really have their spiritual experiences that serve you. It's a collective group, like this group of people. It's like I'm talking about a collective generation of people, because this is so broad, because this is over 7 to 8 years of people being born. So this group of people with Uranus and Pisces may have had, spiritual experiences, and may be so focused on these spiritual experiences that serve you as an individual, as opposed to the collective, as opposed to creating collective, like how can it serve the all? How can you being individual serve the all, not just you as an individual, but serving the collective as well? So, as opposed to collective, genuine consciousness development, the development of the collective consciousness. So, also, we could see, I say we could see, this has already happened. This group of people can at worst get into their ego and think that they are so wise and so intelligent and so knowledgeable. I have all this wisdom, I have this spiritual insight, and other generations are below me. And other generations are not as smart, not as worthy, not intelligent as I am. And that's kind of what I feel about the Gen Z generation, and I want to do a video, which I think pairs with this really, really strongly, on the Gen Z generation, what the issues are with that, and what is sort of wrong with the millennials, Generation Y, Generation Y, and Generation Z. I want to do videos on that because I just find this so interesting, and going along with the Pluto generations, and I'm very, very fascinated with that. I just get this feeling like my generation thinks that they are just better and just superior than past generations, and you are not, because there's others that live, before you, that have more life experience and that have, been through, been up the alley, been around the block. And it's about not thinking, a true wise person is somebody who doesn't think that they are wiser than anybody else, that they are humble, that they are curious to learning. Yes, you have a lot of wisdom, but you're not superior. And when you're superior, you're not in your heart, you're not in your soul, you're in your ego. So that's what we need to remember with this. And so we can have, with this spiritual development. Spiritual development, when it comes to, we can have all this spiritual development without the practical application applied to it. Like how can we make the spiritual practical? How can we make the spiritual everyday, approachable, and accessible to the normal human living a day-to-day life? So how can spirituality, we have to ground spirituality. We can't just be it all abstract, because we all live lives in this 3D reality. And so how can we ground this? So, we have to think about the practical application of this. So the real world application. This, where the rubber has to hit the road, basically. So spiritual development, we have to have spiritual development that enhances living, that improves living, as opposed to escaping, using spirituality as an escape route, where we are so, in the spirituality that we completely ignore our daily responsibilities in our own life. And we're, in our own selves, that we forget, there is this world around us, and there are, people around us that we can open our heart and connect to, as opposed to just being so, spirituality that is not self-absorbed, basically. Spirituality that is interconnected, that is for the collective, for the other, for, relationships and all this, not so self-absorbed. Like Aquarius as an energy is not so self-absorbed. It is you being an individual, but it is to serve the collective. So, and then, this is about the other downside is going, what you have the choice between the spiritual path that you want to go down, that serves the healing of humanity, that serves all of our healing in humanity, as opposed to personal achievement. As opposed to, these great quests of achievement, like I'm so spiritually wealthy that I achieved this state, and I am so enlightened, and I am more enlightened than the rest of us. Like I was on a Zoom call with an astrologer that I follow, with this lady who was like, I'm more spiritually evolved than anyone. And I'm like, well, making that statement is kind of, putting yourself on a pedestal. And it's about you not making yourself bigger and better than others, but just simply going on your own path without needing to do that. So, and so we have to enhance compassion with world challenges. With taking these challenges, taking the people who are in very, very down road sides of, not feeling compassion, not being treated with compassion, not being treated with empathy, and being more compassionate, being kinder to them, being more empathetic towards them. This brought in spiritual innovation. The best we can spiritually innovate, we can have consciousness research, integrative healing that influences spiritual development, artistic expression. I think I've already covered that. And this basically influences how future generations approach spirituality and creativity. So these people are here to bring in and set the stage for other generations, future generations, namely the Uranus and Aries generation, which is like get up and make something happen and be an activist and act. Like the Uranus and Aries generation is here to act and be their individual, authentic selves. They are here to respond to say, well, these spiritual changes that you wanted to initiate, now we're putting them into action. Now we're focusing on how can we be our individual sovereign selves with these changes. And I'm going to get into that more later. So, influencing how future generations approach spirituality and creativity in these ways. So, your individual choices that you make about spirituality, your spiritual path, your spiritual development, and creative expression, how you creatively express yourself in healing, make for the collective drive, impact the collective. Like your decisions, you moving on your own spiritual path impacts the collective. Like what you do impacts, others. What you do impacts the collective. Like I covered this in my Age of Aquarius video. To the collective drive to consciousness innovation. Creative expression, for the innovation of consciousness. So this is about being compassionate and serving others. Really, how can we have, how can we serve others? I know, Lynn McTaggart talks about this, like service to others. There is something so valuable about us doing our thing, and in that way it serves others, like us expressing our spiritual selves and going on our own spiritual path, and that is serving the collective, serving our community. So this compassionate service, like how can we serve, basically. So moving into the more individual side of this, so how these people are looking at these people as a more placement, the qualities and traits of this placement more individually. So they were very, very intuitive. They have the ability to perceive so much intuitive information. Basically, any emotion, any information, any deeper truth, and they check in with themselves and like, is this true for me? Does this feel right to me? Does this feel secure to me? Does this resonate with me? Does this will this be beneficial to my time and my energy? So, and that not through logic, but through your intuition, where you are moving beyond the logical mind and going with what just feels right to you. It's very, very simple. Like your intuition is very, very simple. Like what feels right. Don't overcomplicate intuition. Okay. Well, we don't need to make intuition a complicated thing. Like keeping it very, very simple and straightforward is what we need to do. That's what Sonia Choquette does as someone who specializes in intuition. She breaks it down in very, very practical, simple, approachable, easy to understand ways, which is what we need. So, not holding on, because if we make it so complicated, then people are going to be turned away from it, and they're less likely to want to believe it and be on the side of it, and, less likely to want to integrate that into their own spiritual life, into their own life and daily living, into their own ways of being. So, not holding on to, also, these people need to be mindful, me included with this, because I am of this generation, not holding on to old spiritual belief systems. not holding on to these belief systems that we feel within ourselves. You're not holding on to these outdated belief systems that do not serve us anymore. Like we're here to look at our beliefs. Like Pisces is I believe. Like what are the beliefs that no longer work for us anymore, that no longer ring true for us anymore, that we need to release? In our perceptions of reality, that we need to be willing to release these things, release these fixed ideas and notions and beliefs, basically releasing the notions of all these things. So that's very, very important. So, and you could ask the question like, what would your life be like if you were to do this? If you were to take your old beliefs and release these things? If you are carrying any of these things around with you in your rucksack for life, like how can you release the things that no longer serve you in terms of the beliefs that you have, the opinions that you carry? The beliefs. I want to keep it very, very simple. So they're here to get rid of outdated spiritual knowledge and pave the way toward new spiritual understandings, new spiritual advancements. So, it's about integrating revolutionary ideas with your intuitive, emotional qualities. So, what does this mean? It means all of these new ideas that are getting spread around, you're here to apply these ideas as individuals that emotionally resonate with you. You're here to do it in a very intuitive, emotional way, basically. So, with this, it's very, very, like boundaries dissolve, with Uranus and Pisces. Like Pisces is like dissolving all the boundaries. So with Uranus and Pisces, we are dissolving boundaries and making space for new creative expression to come into play here, and spiritual understandings, spiritual awakenings. So new, expressing yourselves creatively and awakening to new spiritual ideas and truths. So we're also here to understand a deeper connection and understanding of the oneness of all that is. Like we're all one. Instead of getting caught in the ego, we're connecting as souls, that we're all one and we're all unified. So the oneness of all that is, the spiritual visions for the future, looking at the spiritual visions of what we can create for the future, basically. So this is about breaking free from all these societal expectations, all these expectations for the institutions, the government, whatever, and basically carve out a life for yourself that resonates with your own dreams and your own values. Like when you can just rebel against go against the traditional hierarchies that say this is the spiritual way to go and this is the rules you must follow and all of this when it comes to living a spiritual life. Like, no, you carve out a spiritual life for yourself based off of what you value. Like, knowing what you value is very, very important. Knowing what your ideals are, knowing what your beliefs are. Having a good sense of your own internal authority that you have. Knowing right from wrong from an internal, autonomous place, and basically going after your own dreams instead of going after the dreams that others want you to go after. So this is about getting rid of limiting beliefs, getting rid of all these these limiting beliefs and emotions that keep you from living a life that is in alignment. So what are the limiting beliefs and emotions that keep you from living in alignment with your soul and your spiritual ideals? That's really, we need to release these things. What are your ideals? What is that perfect vision that you have for the future that you just want to manifest, that you want to see in your reality as a physical, tangible thing? So What is your soul calling you towards? And really having the empowerment and liberation to do what your soul is calling you towards. Now, this also gives you opportunities to sort of get out of your comfort zone, which are very, very important for you to unlock your personal and spiritual freedom. So, getting out of this sort of stuck comfort zone and ways of being that just keep you in kind of the old self and old ways. Getting out, so like a comfort zone. Like what comfort zone are you so so consumed by that it's keeping you from that it's putting a lock over that door basically, and all you have to do is basically take the lock and open the lock to new personal freedom and spiritual freedom. Like realizing, wow, I am so liberated to do all of this. Wow, I am so, spiritually free to, live my life in this kind of way. So, we need to also challenge the norms and conventions that keep us from experiencing universal love. Like a song in, Barbra Streisand's Walls album that I was listening to last night. Is what the world needs now is love, and we need love. We need universal, unconditional, loving love for everyone, respecting every being as their authentic self, and accepting every being as they are. Very, very important. Without projecting or without controlling them, and so universal love and creativity. So challenging these norms and conventions with all this kind of thing that keep us from being our creative selves, and us, all of us expressing, or the masses expressing their creativity. So, we also need to go against the expectations of others, going against others' expectations, and going on your own spiritual path, and going against, not following others' expectations, going on your own spiritual path, even if you're uncertain about it. Because Pisces is about the uncertainty into the unknown. It's about embracing uncertainty, because in the waters of Pisces we're not clear. Like in Virgo, it's very, very clear. There's a roadmap, there's a direction, there's a structure, these are the details of it, this is what you need to do. This is the steps of the recipe you need to follow. But with Pisces energy, it's uncertain, because your intuition may lead you into uncharted territory. So in Pisces energy, we're not clear. We're unsure of the direction to go, and we're unsure where we're actually going. We're walking in the fog, and we're not sure, what we're doing. So, even if it is going into the unknown, so being willing to take risks and take a leap of faith and pivot for ourselves to go on our own path in that way. So, aligning with cause, we need to also, these people can really, focus on devoting their soul and their own individual identity to causes that create a more equal world and compassionate world, where we acknowledge that every human is equal, every living creature is equal, everyone has value, and so we need to be understanding and loving toward everyone. So, that is the Aquarius Pisces vision. Both Aquarius and Pisces want to create the world as a better place, make the world a better place. So anyway, that is all I have on, Uranus and Pisces, the Uranus and Pisces generation. I hope that you found this video very, very interesting. And informative for you, maybe educational for you. And if you did, please share with those who are really interested in astrology, who want to learn more about it. Like this video, comment under this podcast, follow this podcast, and I will see you in tomorrow's episode, which will be, I believe, I'm thinking of doing, I want to talk about the North Node in Scorpio in the natal birth chart, because there's a lot of layers, and that's going to be a very, very deep dive that I'm going to really, really delve into. I'm going to be doing that video tomorrow on that placement, where releasing the material possessions, being willing to change and transform is what it's really about. So embracing change is a really, really huge lesson. I'll talk about that then. Anyway, bye for now, everybody. I will see you in the next episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast.